Boom shakalaka, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is your boy Chris Shule, aka the esoteric noetic, aka the chocolate Nubian soul brother from Ghana, West Africa, dropping the wisdomatic truth bombs here in Melbourne, Australia, mate. You know we're Triblo. You know we stand with Dan. We do as we're told because we're on team. Meh. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, click on the bell, tell your friends, tell your mom, drop us some comments, drop us some cryptocurrencies if you feel so inclined. Check us out on the Patreon. Let's get it. Oh, what a beautiful day it is here in Melbourne, Australia. So the max exodus has begun. As of the 1st of November this month in Melbourne, people are now allowed to leave the country from Melbourne. I think that's been the case with a lot of the other states for some time now, but specifically Melbourne, the most locked down part of Australia, they're allowing people to leave. But there is one catch. You need to have taken the boom shakalaka. You need to have gotten the juice, yo. Unless, of course, you are under 12 or you have a medical exemption. Now, of course, we all know how difficult it is to get the medical exemptions because the doctors have been given strict orders not to give out any medical exemptions. Well, unless, of course, it's absolutely necessary. And practically speaking, a lot of them are risking losing their jobs. So they've been very stingy when it comes to giving them out. A lot of them have to follow, well, they all have to follow the regulations of ATAGI, or APRA. These are organizations that essentially give recommendations on what doctors have to follow, or at the very least heavily influence them. And I mean, check this out. A friend of mine, she went to see the doctor, explained to her that she was extremely depressed, dealing with anxiety because of everything that's going on, and she's very apprehensive about getting the boom shakalaka, right? The juice. And her doctor told her that she should get the juice in order to cure her depression. And look, you got to understand, a lot of the times these doctors are reading scripts. They have to follow certain responses regardless of what you say. I've heard of people talking about having massive adverse reactions. Maybe you should try this, boom shakalaka, as opposed to the last one. Maybe that might be better. No matter what you say, they have to give a response. Now, personally, if I know someone cannot give me their honest opinion about what they think about something, that they're just selling you something regardless, I become very weary of those people. I don't trust them. Sometimes people become too heavily invested in an outcome, or they're too incentivized, or worse yet, they are under the threat of an organization, therefore cannot openly speak to you about what they think. And that is what a lot of people are finding themselves, well, a lot of doctors are finding themselves having to do, to give answers that may not be in line with what they personally think because of the gag order. But anyway, I digress. It's very difficult to get an exemption. So, unless, of course, you apply for an exemption, you will not be allowed out of the country. Which brings me to how to do this. Now, in order to leave the country at the moment, you do need to apply for an exemption, and you need to give grounds as to why you are wanting to leave the country. Now, one of the grounds is you can perhaps be exploring your business. Perhaps you are a content creator, or you're a performer, or you do some kind of work that requires you to travel. That's an exemption. Another exemption is you might want to leave on compassionate grounds. So perhaps you know someone abroad that is very sick, very ill, and you want to go visit them. You want to spend time with them, right? That seems feasible. Or even if you, and this, by the way, applies to all the permanent residents. Clearly, if you are belonging to another country, you hold a visa here, this stuff doesn't apply to you. It's a lot easier. You can just basically just tell them that you want to leave. And what are they going to do? Hold you in here? Then again, they have been doing that for the last several months, right? preventing you from leaving. It's a weird world we live in where you need to ask permission in order to leave the country. I mean, 60 or so years ago, it was a big deal, the fact that people needed to ask permission to go to another country. Now, they're preventing us from even leaving the country. What next? They're going to prevent us from leaving the planet? They're going to prevent us from leaving our homes? Well, they're already doing the latter. But it just makes you see where this is going. Pretty soon you won't be able to do anything unless, of course, you ask the government's permission, which is what I am worried about. So that's why I have decided to be proactive. Now, because we're in such a dire situation right now in Melbourne, we're on the verge of having this new bill enacted, the Public Health and Wellbeing Bill, that may very well be enacted. I mean, I really am hoping that it doesn't get enacted. But seeming as though it's already gone through the lower house, it very well may happen. And that will signify the beginning of the end of Australia as we know it. Now, personally, I'm not going to wait for that to happen. You find the smartest people in history have always caught a drift of where the wind is blowing and then made their decisions according to that before the storm actually came. I mean, I've been watching what a lot of the freedom lovers have been doing over the last few months, and I know people like Infinite Waters fled to Greece a few months back because he could see where this was headed. Vin Armani, a well-known crypto savage, anarchist, libertarian, decided to leave his country as soon as there was the first sign of this shit coming. As soon as they started doing contract tracing, this guy fled to Saipan. And we've been seeing many other people do the same thing. People years ago actually left because they could smell this stuff coming. Now a lot of us have decided to stay and fight. I salute you guys. But others have been wise enough to realize that you may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. And it's better to live and come again to fight another day rather than staying and being in prison for the rest of your life. Now, a lot of people look at leaving as cowardice, and I'm sure there are going to be some momos out there that are like, oh, look, mate, you're a coward. You don't truly believe in freedom. Why don't you stay and fight, mate? Well, here's one thing I would invite you to consider, that sometimes the best way to vote for something that you don't believe in is to withdraw your support of it. For instance, if you're part of an organization and they start doing something you don't like, you leave or you stop supporting them with your dollars. Similarly, even with a country, if a country or a state start doing something that you don't like, you vote against it by withdrawing your support, by leaving it. If enough people decided to flee Melbourne, Australia, which has been happening, there have been tens of thousands of people since this thing popped up that have actually fled to other states or have left the country. At some point, the government is going to get the understanding that what they're doing is just not going to work. If people are not willing to pay taxes, people are not willing to stay in a state or a country, and they've all fled, then either the leaders, the rulers of that state, change their behavior, change the mandates accordingly in order to invite more people. This is what countries do when they want to have more tourism, is they create incentives to bring people to their country. When they start doing things that are too insane, like having really high taxes, a lot of the wealthy people say, hey, I'm getting the hell out of here. They leave. And similarly, if enough people actually left this place, that's one way to vote. That's one way to get the government to wake the fuck up. And the same thing has happened in various parts of the United States. I know in LA, New York, a lot of people fled to places, more freedom-loving places like Florida and Texas. And like people like Joe Rogan, people like Elon Musk even have fled their states to Texas, from what I understand, because they weren't happy with the taxes, they weren't happy with the insane restrictions, mandates that were happening in their respective cities. And I think what's going to happen is these cities are most likely going to have to change a lot of their mandates, you know? But sometimes it's the best thing to do, to actually vote by getting the hell out of there. If you're in a relationship and it's not working, or someone's treating you in a way that you don't like, you take a step back. You're like, look, bro, look, mate, you can't be with a chocolate Nubian because I don't like what you're doing. And then you hopefully have them change accordingly. I've started doing that in every area of my life. I'm even doing that with family members. I'm currently not speaking to my mama because she's being a momo. And she doesn't want to have a very important conversation about the boom shakalaka. And her decisions are not only affecting me, but affecting people around me. And as a result, I've taken a step back, and sometimes, you have to take a step back, regardless of how dear those relationships may be to you, in order to have people see the error of their ways, whether that is a person, an organization, or even a society. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you need to make the change, and it's always best to make these changes before the shit happens, because at some point, there are going to be a lot of people that are rushing to leave. And when that happens, it's going to be even more difficult. Whether this is in the realm of cryptocurrencies, in the realm of leaving a country, you want to make steps before everyone else does. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself stranded or finding it very difficult to leave. So let's just say the chocolate noobs is making some big moves. And the next time you might see me broadcasting, I might be around different environments. I've noticed that some good options at the moment are Mexico. It's a very freedom-oriented place. Apparently, though, it's somewhat dangerous with all the gangs there, but I suppose what could be more dangerous than the biggest gang of all, the government, right? Also, Greece. I'm really feeling the Greek vibe. I love Europe, and I gotta say, Greece is on top of my list right now, guys. And then Spain. These are countries that you do not require a boom shakalaka in order to enter. Of course, you still need to go through PCR tests. You need to show PCR tests from later than 2 days. However, they will accept you into the country. So the time to make decisions is before the storm, not during the storm, ladies and gentlemen. During the storm, people are running around like headless hens, no conscious thought. It's like, reactionary, You want to be conscious. You want to be aware. You want to be moving with your psionic intelligence, your somatic intelligence. You want to be making decisions intuitively, like a wisdomatic truth bomber, not responding with this reptilian brain, like, oh no, I'm in fear, I must do something, and then you start making dumb decisions. You want to be guided by the anahata, your heart chakra. Let that transcend your monkey brain, infiltrate its way into higher thought. That way you can be guiding with this fluidic conscious intelligence, the ultimate autonomous instinct that I like to call it, where you're like Bruce Lee, you move like the wind. The government's trying to get you. I see what the government is trying to do. You will not get to me. I am like Bruce Lee, I'll be like water. Oh, you try lockdown mandate, I get the hell out. Or you try to jab, I duck. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to think with your heart and feel with your head. Peace out. Keep it real. Check us out on the Patreon. Illuminate your minds with wisdom. Strengthen your will with love. Purge all negative thought patterns from your existence. Kisses, hugs, and belly rubs. The chocolate noobs. Ow!
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet? What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community?
There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.